He's one of the most popular characters in Transformers comics today and was just revealed as the big bad of the Robots in Disguise cartoon. Let's look at the basics and answer the question that's been plaguing Transformers fans for 30 years. Who is Cyclonus? Cyclonus was created for 1986's The Transformers the Movie, and like the majority of the film's new cast, his toy was made based on the artwork of the movie's character designer Floro Deary, which was the opposite of how Transformers worked at the time, as the toys normally came first. But Deary's designs underwent further revisions after the toy went into production, so the end result is that Cyclonus' appearance in animation differs quite a bit from his action figure. The movie introduced Cyclonus as one of several new warriors created by the monster planet Unicron from the remains of dead and dying Decepticons who had been dumped into space by their former comrades. He didn't do much in the film itself, serving mainly as his leader Galvatron's personal spacecraft, but came into his own in the subsequent third season of the animated series, as an intelligent and loyal second-in-command, powerful, cunning, and with his own unique sense of warrior's honor. Cyclonus often worked in concert with his counterpart Scourge, and had numerous spotlight adventures throughout the series, including a team-up with Ultra Magnus to escape a Quintesson who had captured them for study, being possessed by the ghost of Starscream, and earning the insane Galvatron's ire when he signed him into psychiatric care on the planet Torculon. Cyclonus was voiced throughout the series with theatrical aplomb by Roger C. Carmel, but Carmel's passing in late 1986 saw Jack Angel inherit the role for the final 5 episodes of the series, including the 3-part finale, The Rebirth. This miniseries promoted the 1987 re-release of Cyclonus' toy as a Target Master, now partnered with Nightstick, a small alien from the planet Nebulos who transformed into his gun. After the end of the American cartoon, Cyclonus continued to make appearances in early episodes of the Japanese exclusive sequel series, The Headmasters. But his Target Master toy wasn't released in Japan, so he didn't undergo that upgrade in this version of the story. And without a new toy to promote, the show quickly and ignominiously reduced his stature to that of a bumbling, cartoonish henchman, overshadowed by the new high-ranking Decepticon 6-shot, and he was eventually phased out of the series. As with the rest of the movie cast, Cyclonus did not initially appear in the Marvel comic published in the United States, only showing up in its pages a year later to promote the release of his Target Master toy. Like the toy, his comic book appearance was based on Floro Deary's earlier character design, and he featured as part of a group of Decepticons led to Nebulos by Scorponok, where he was bonded to Nightstick. Before that, however, he did appear in the UK comic, which incorporated his origin from the animated movie and depicted him, Galvatron, and Scourge as time travelers from the future who menaced the Transformers of the present day. This didn't fit with how he was portrayed in the US book, so to reconcile the two, the UK comic would later have him and Scourge sent further into the past, where they joined up with Scorponok and went on to become Target Masters as in the US stories. But really, this marked the beginning of the end for the pair. Soon after, the Shockwave of the present day learned that, in their future, Cyclonus and Scourge had killed him, and so, to prevent his death, he sought to kill them in the present. So it was that Cyclonus met his end, decapitated by a clone of Megatron. But his death 20 years before his creation caused a time rift that threatened to destroy all of reality until his remains were fed to it. Cyclonus didn't appear in any Transformers media in the 1990s, but he remained a popular topic of debate with fans. Specifically, debate over which Decepticon he was before Unicron recreated him. The story behind this argument is complicated and might be deserving of a basics episode of its own sometime in the future, but to keep it simple for now, the film shows the Insecticon bombshell being turned into Cyclonus, while the Decepticon jet Skywarp becomes an identical duplicate in the background. The duplicate, paradoxically referred to as an armada by Unicron, is a holdover from an earlier version of the film's script in which Cyclonus was supposed to have an armada of multiple duplicates serving him, like Scourge has his sweeps. But the idea was dropped in mid-production, and the duplicate disappears only a moment after its creation, replaced with an extra sweep never to be seen again. And that's left fans to argue over whether it should be considered an abandoned concept, and if so, whether Bombshell or Skywarp became the one true Cyclonus. The only contemporary media that even broached the issue of Cyclonus' former identity was the UK comic, but bizarrely, it claimed that Cyclonus was created from a Decepticon named Life Spark. A mistake we would eventually learn was derived from an even more outdated version of the movie script the comic was working off of, in which Cyclonus was created from the life force, or life spark, of an unnamed long-dead Decepticon, rather than one familiar to audiences. When modern media has tackled the issue, results have varied depending on the preferences of the writers, with some stories claiming Cyclonus was Bombshell, and others saying he was Skywarp, so ultimately there's no definitive answer. Like so much else in Transformers, it just varies from story to story. Cyclonus' name would not return to prominence until the Unicron trilogy of the early 2000s. But it really was just his name, since the Cyclonus of the trilogy had nothing to do with the original. Introduced in Transformers Armada, this Cyclonus was a cackling Decepticon wildman, the kind of trigger-happy loon who seemed like he only signed up to the cons because it meant he got to shoot things. Though a prominent member of the cartoon's small cast, and quite memorable for his wild laughter and general joie de vivre, Cyclonus never really did anything of any importance in the cartoon. His most notable story role probably came in the Armada comic, in which he was once driven into a fighting mad fury when his body was temporarily overloaded by the Destruction Minicon team. In the sequel series, Transformers Energon, he became something of a dim-witted comedy double act with his buddy Demolisher, and was upgraded by the power of Unicron to become Snowcat, trading in his helicopter blades for a pair of skis, and his laughter for mirthful yodeling. By comparison, IDW Publishing's take on Cyclonus was not nearly so drastic a departure from the classic character, but their comic books did opt to bring something new to the table by depicting Cyclonus as an ancient Cybertronian, with no connection to either the Decepticons or to Unicron. In IDW stories, Cyclonus, Scourge, and Galvatron were among the Transformers who long ago became lost in the alternate dimension of the Dead Universe, where they became undead beings working toward the Dead Universe's consumption of the living one. But Cyclonus was a fierce patriot who loved Cybertron, and when he discovered his homeworld would be destroyed by this plan, he turned on Galvatron and struck out on his own. With the Cybertron of his youth long gone, the devoutly religious Cyclonus joined the crew of the starship Lost Light on its quest to find the legendary Knights of Cybertron. There, he slowly formed a relationship with the innocent little Autobot Tailgate, which evolved into a star-crossed romance as Tailgate gradually brought him out of his cold, isolated shell, turning him into a valued crew member who cares for his comrades, like his foe-turned-frenemy Whirl, and of course, the adoring Tailgate himself, most of all. Cyclonus returned to television screens in 2009 for a cameo appearance in Transformers Animated, with ancillary media implying that he had come from the future where he had been created by Unicron from Skywarp. No toy of the animated character was made, however, due to a Transformers Universe action figure of the original Cyclonus having been released not long beforehand. This toy was recolored and re-released a lot over the next few years, ensuring Cyclonus a series of minor but regular appearances in media like web cartoons, pack-in comics, Japanese manga, and fan club exclusive stories. But it took until 2015 before a brand new toy of the character would be made. This new Cyclonus figure was part of the Combiner Wars toy line, and the bio printed on its packaging described how he could mind control other Transformers into forcibly merging with him to form the Combiner robot Galvatronus. This idea was loosely adapted into the Aligned Continuity's incarnation of Cyclonus when he appeared in the Robots in Disguise cartoon in 2017. Disguised as an Autobot, this version of Cyclonus used mind control on all of Cybertron to ensure that he and a group of fellow Decepticons in disguise were elected as the planet's new High Council after the end of the war. This Cyclonus could also form Galvatronus by combining with his fellow council members Cyberwarp, Skyjack, Treadshock, and Riot Gear, but his plans to use his new position of power to invade Earth and rebuild the Decepticon Empire were thwarted by Bumblebee's team in the series finale. So yeah, all in all, it's been a pretty good last couple of years for Cyclonus. Though the end of Robots in Disguise means his appearances will likely be limited to comic books for the time being. As his story continues, we can only hope he gets the ending he deserves. And those are the basics on Cyclonus. Share your thoughts on the pointy-eared purple one in the comments. And thanks to everyone for 5,000 subscribers.